What's up, anime fans and manga readers? For today's episode, I think I can narrow my greeting down to Shangri La fans specifically, because if you already couldn't tell by the title of the video, Sunraku's confrontation with the legendary boss Lycagon was finally animated, and we're going to talk about it in excruciating detail. With that being said, there will be spoilers ahead. I'm too geeked out to tell if this is a review or a recap, but it's something alright. And if you aren't already caught up to the latest episode of Shangri La Frontier, then seriously, dude, what on earth are you waiting for? Go ahead and stop watching the video and catch up. I'll still be right here when you get back. For those caught up, or those who simply don't care about spoilers, then strap in. Our last Shangri La Frontier update was back when the show was still in the Nephilim Hollow arc, a short and entertaining arc for all it's worth, but I sure am glad we're back in the main game and things have never been more heated than they are now. Shangri La Frontier has been on an insane run over the last few episodes, hitting us with battle after battle, twist after twist, and some of the most suspenseful sequences of the entire series thus far. We'll go through a full summary of the last 5 episodes, and I'll sprinkle in some thoughts and impressions along the way. I'm sure, like Sunraku and his companions, we were all a little surprised when Lycagon emerged from the sky all of a sudden at the end of episode 35. However, it didn't take long for the crew to leap into action. Animalia cast a rare spell to hold Lycagon in place for 60 seconds, giving Arthur and the team a chance to strike her 100 times in order to unlock a unique scenario. It was obviously never going to be that easy to take Lycagon down, so it's only a matter of time before she's able to break free, and she does so in dramatic fashion. The moon vanishes behind the clouds suddenly, and we finally get to see why Lycagon is called the Night Slayer. She can manipulate darkness itself as a weapon! Out of the shadows emerges a second Lycagon, this time with the ability to teleport. Sunraku realizes that this shadowy doppelganger is how Lycagon defeated him in their very first encounter. The Shadow Lycagon swiftly hands Animalia and SFZoo their butts, breaking the spell and freeing the real Lycagon. Sunraku is all fired up for a rematch against Lycagon, but he hesitates. He's afraid Rei might seize the unique scenario herself and share its secrets with Schwarzwolf, and he can't let that happen. At the same time, he knows that his current goal is not to fight, but to reach Fiftisha. He considers sabotaging the fight entirely, letting Lycagon kill both him and Rei to preserve the scenario's secrecy. Rei notices that Rakuro's being unusually broody and reminds him of his own advice. It's a video game, and the best way to play is to enjoy it with all your heart. Her words snap Sunraku out of his mood, and he realizes how close he came to letting all the inter-clan politics consume him. In true Sunraku fashion, he ditches the mental baggage and teams up with Rei to face Lycagon together. Safe to say, I was pretty hyped at this point. I mean, it's the rematch we've all been waiting for. Sunraku is vastly different at this point to how he was when he first encountered the Night Slayer. I needed to see just how much he'd improved, and thankfully, my boy didn't disappoint. Sunraku observes that Shadow Lycagon's attack patterns are pretty straightforward. Appear, strike once, then vanish. By staying in the moonlight, away from the shadows, he manages to avoid her attacks, but Lycagon obviously had other tricks up her sleeve. She moves through shadows and tries to force Sunraku into it. He's forced to rely on his Inventoria trick to stay alive. As they battle on, Rakuro notices something rather terrifying. It appears that Lycagon can understand human speech. This means she'd been listening to their strategies and adapting to every single one of them, and I gotta say, I did not see that coming. It explained why Lycagon always seemed one step ahead. As the situation becomes more dire, Rei reveals she has a powerful ultimate attack, but it requires her to land 10 consecutive hits on Lycagon, which, if you couldn't already tell at this point, is damn near impossible. Still, Sunraku takes the lead, equipping the Gilte Brille to draw Lycagon's attention while Rei begins her series of attacks. Teamwork, yay! However, just as Rei begins to make progress, the moon disappears behind clouds again, allowing Shadow Lycagon to re-emerge and move even faster. Sunraku is forced back into Inventoria and comes up with an idea. Although Lycagon's curse prevents him from equipping armor to his body, Inventoria contains other items he can use. He returns to the fight wearing the Atabane helmet and bringing out the combat robot Suzaku. Rei is understandably confused by Rakuro's unconventional move, but she presses on, managing to land her 4th hit. Only 6 more to go! The robot Suzaku clears up the clouds, fully revealing the moon and restricting Shadow Lycagon's movement. Rei begins to believe that they might defeat Lycagon on their own, but I guess she jinxed it because after landing her 5th strike, Lycagon counters with brutal force, sending her flying into a wall. Since her 10 hits have to be consecutive, that means all her progress is gone and she has to start over from 0 to unleash her attack. Sunraku does his best to keep Lycagon distracted, but she doesn't take the bait and stays focused on Rei, relentlessly targeting her. Just as Rei is about to be ripped apart, Akitsu Akane appears out of the blue with a fancy ninja technique that saves her in the nick of time. You see, Akitsu Akane, along with Imul and Sea Crew, had been headed towards Sunraku for some time now, and good thing they were too. Sunraku notices scars on Akitsu Akane's face and realizes that she'd been cursed by Seagworm much like he was by Lycagon. He feels some kind of kinship with her, and so, without hesitation, he adds Akitsu Akane, Sea Crew, and Imul to his party. As you could imagine, this kinda ticks Rei off, even though they literally just saved her life. Lycagon clearly doesn't care about any of this drama, and she promptly resumes her assault on Rei, giving her 0 time to heal. During the chaos, Akitsu Akane mentions fighting Sunraku in one of the old trash games he used to play called Burp, and Sunraku realizes Akitsu Akane is actually Dragonfly, an old rival. He also realizes that despite their best efforts, they really aren't doing any real damage to Lycagon. It's almost as if she's surrounded by some sort of magical barrier. This sparks a thought in Sunraku, and he instructs Imul to cast a spell designed specifically to harm ghosts. To Rakuro's surprise, Lycagon abruptly stops dogpiling Rei to dodge the spell, and thus confirms his suspicion. Lycagon must be some kind of spirit! Obviously, Lycagon is not a fan of this big discovery, and so she shifts her focus to Imul, forcing Rakuro to step in and protect her. Unlike the player characters, as an NPC, Imul's death would be permanent, making her survival more critical than the others. The fight is dragged on for quite some time at this point, and Suzaku's fuel starts running low. Its efforts to stop the clouds from covering the moon would soon be in vain, which would give Lycagon and her shadow the upper hand. Bad news for everybody. Despite the pressure building, Rei successfully lands her 10th strike and unlocks her ultimate attack. In classic video game fashion, the technique takes time to actually power up, leaving Rei vulnerable to attack while she channels it. Rakuro and the rest of the group must now protect her at all costs if they want any chance of winning. Just as they form up around her, the moon disappears behind another cloud, and they are plunged back into darkness. Akitsu Akane uses her fire breath attack she learned from Seagworm to illuminate the area, eliminating all shadows and leaving Shadow Lycagon nowhere to hide. Rakuro then reveals that the Giltabrilla has an ultimate attack of its own, the ability to generate a massive crystal bullet powered by moonlight. Turns out he's been absorbing moonlight the entire time! He fires the bullet, doing some serious damage to Lycagon, but that attack comes at a cost. Sunraku's health is drained all the way to 1, leaving him vulnerable to death from even a single hit. Thankfully, his move was enough to grant Rei an opening, and she unleashes her fully charged ultimate attack, Armageddon, striking Lycagon with a devastating blow. That was it! They'd finally won! They'd finally beat Lycagon! Yeah, right. Surprising no one at all, Lycagon survives. What's even more terrifying, she doesn't retaliate. Instead, she smiles softly and fades away into the mist. The group is rewarded with some new titles and a unique scenario for their victory in this battle. However, there is no system announcement confirming Lycagon's defeat, suggesting she is still alive. Sunraku realizes the unsettling truth. They hadn't fought against Lycagon and a Shadow Lycagon, no. Instead, they had been battling 2 Shadow Lycagons the entire time. What? What the fuck? The real Lycagon had been elsewhere observing their fight. Despite this revelation, Rei is overjoyed, taking pride in their accomplishment as the first to defeat a Shadow Lycagon. For a brief moment, Sunraku thinks he sees a resemblance between Rei and a girl he knows from school. He wonders if they could be the same person. Before he can dwell on it, though, his scars from Lycagon begin to glow, and he dares to hope that the curse might finally be lifted, allowing him to equip armor again. But before he can act, a cartoon-like image of Lycagon's head materializes out of nowhere and swallows him whole. Yeah, You heard that right. A disembodied cartoon head of Lycagon just pops out of nowhere and chomps down on him. At this point, I had no idea what to expect. What more hidden abilities did she have? Could she do this the entire time? Was this strange event even her doing in the first place? The more we learned of Lycagon, the more terrifying and intelligent she seemed. What would become of Sunraku? As it turned out, we didn't have to wait too long to find out. Cartoon Lycagon spits Rakuro back out, and not before altering the mechanics of his curse. The brand new Curse Pro Max ensures that the real Lycagon will now hunt Sunraku personally, and it can no longer be removed by a saint. If you want to say one thing about Lycagon, say she's a real hater. While Sunraku gains the ability to equip armor again, it comes with a drawback. Any armor he wears will degrade over time. Welcome back, Death Stranding. Additionally, Rakuro discovers that the new Guiding Light status he gained after the victory against the Shadow Lycagons will point him and his party toward Lycagon whenever they come within a certain distance of her. Rakuro knows they'll cross paths with Lycagon again, but for now, his immediate goal is to reach Fiftitia, and so they press forward. And thus concludes the latest encounter of our party with Lycagon, and boy did it deliver! It ended up being more of a recap than a review, but that's fine. Shangri La Frontier has settled into a comfortable position as one of those shows that are just remarkably consistent at what they do and how well they do it. As someone who loves to play games myself, I'm constantly amazed by the little quirks and features included that prove that the team behind it have a true appreciation for the medium. The characters are fun, and Rakuro, Sunraku's real name in anime, is quickly growing to become one of my favorite modern shonen protagonists. I've also been pleasantly surprised at how intelligent Lycagon has proven to be. My first impressions were that she was more of a mindless beast, a force of nature. While she definitely still feels like that in some ways, there's a cold calculation to her actions now, and the fact that she can understand humans makes her all the more terrifying. I'll definitely be sticking with the story as Sunraku and his crew forge forward through levels and bosses, great and small, until they cross paths with Lycagon once again. Anyway, that's all we have for today, folks. Do you agree with my pick? Maybe there's some cool facts about the Lycagon battle that I left out. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell to get regular updates on new videos. I make awesome anime and manga content like this every week, so be sure to check them out. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.